Welcome back. So now we have a log pickup that we're able to have the player pick it up once, and it will increase their count by 1, and then they're not able to pick it up another log. So we need a way for the game to progress, and that way is to build a fire pit where we can drop the log off. So somewhere near your spawn point, let's create a fire pit model. So we're going to start by, I'm going to create a cylinder as the base, so you can make it however you like, and we're doing this fairly quickly for testing purposes. Excuse me. And let's just zoom out a little bit, bring it down so that it's quite thin, and I'm just going to make it a bit of a circle where we can put our logs. Okay, so our logs are going to go on top of this fire pit. So it's probably a good idea to, let's call this, we'll call this the base. Okay, and now this is going to be a model, so we'll immediately turn it into one, and we can call this the fire pit model. Okay, so in our model we've got our base, and let's make our base a bit darker. Okay, so it's a bit stone sort of like, maybe granite or something like that. Okay, so that'll do. Now on our base, well, let's just fix up, we'll make it anchored, and we'll make it so you can't collide with it either, and yeah, that looks okay. Alright, so we've got the base. So what's going to happen is the player's going to run onto this, and we want, if they have a log, we want them to drop it on the fire, or in the fire pit here. So if you want to make it a bit more interesting, you can put stones around the edge, etc. But we're going to build a little pyramid of logs in the middle. So since we've already got a log part here, what we're going to do, or I'm going to do, is duplicate this one. So we've got 2 log parts here now. However, we don't need the script in this because this is just for show. Alright, and I'm going to give the sequential numbers, and we're going to, because we've got to collect 3, and I'll move this over here onto the pit. Alright, there we go. Alright, we're going to make 3 of these, so I'll duplicate this one again, and move it over here, and we'll make this log 2, and we'll duplicate it one more time to make it log 3. Okay, so now we have 3 logs, log 1, log 2, log 3. Alright, and because these are all grouped together and we might want to move those, let's turn those into a model also. So because they're spread out a bit, we'll just click on one of them, then using command I'm going to select the others, so we've got just those 3, and we'll right click on that and turn those into our log model. Okay, so log model, and we want it to be a part of our fire pit model, so just left click and drag it inside of our fire pit model. Alright, so now we've got a model inside a model with our 3 logs. So to make it look a little bit better, let's rotate some of these, and we'll turn off the degrees so much, and we'll just rotate it ourselves. So we'll spin this around that way and perhaps move it up a bit like this, and then we'll take log 2 and we'll rotate it up that way, and then around that way perhaps, and move it across. Whoops, just undo that one. Log 2, let's move it across and up. A little bit difficult when you rotate things to get them to move where you want them, and I don't know, that sort of looks a bit like how a campfire might look when you've loaded it up. Okay, So we've got our 3 logs sitting here. However, because when we start the game, there shouldn't be any logs on there, and I might just move that across here and up this way a bit, just to make it a bit more in the middle. There we go. Alright, and we want these to be invisible, okay, and not able to be touched. So if we select all of these, come down the bottom here, and we want them to be anchored because we want them to appear in the right order. So if we click on 3, that's our 3rd log down the bottom there. Alright, it might be a good idea that if we want this to appear first, we make that log 1, because we're going to make them appear in order, and then perhaps log 2 can lay that way, and then the last one might be this one here, log 3. Alright, so once again, if we select all of these, we don't want them to be collidable, so you can run over them, but we do want them to be anchored. The other thing that we want to do is make them all invisible to start with. So we'll turn off the transparency, and here we have now a fire pit with invisible logs on it that we can make appear one at a time when the player delivers a log to the fire pit. Alright, so that is our log model, our fire pit model. And I'm going to save this, so save to file, into, we've got our camping project here with our current files, but let's make a new folder in here called models. Okay, and we'll save this in here as a fire pit model. Alright, so because these are testing, it's very simple, but you can come back later and spend some time building and come up with your own ideas. So just before we leave this, I just wanted to and move on to the next video, I just want to point a couple of things out about multiplayer. So at the moment we're sort of developing for a single player for testing purposes. However, we will run into some problems with how we're programming here when we run multiplayer. If you, for instance, want to work with other players to build up, say you want to collect 50 logs to put on the fire, then each time someone runs onto this fire pit, it's going to change to say like 1 log and make them all disappear, and then you'll run on and you'll have 49 and etc. Okay, so don't worry about that too much until we get to the end, because I'm going to do a section on multiplayer and how we can adjust our code. Okay, so at the moment we're just learning how to make things work, and then at the end in a separate section I'll come back and we'll talk about how to make adjustments for multiplayer. Right, we will leave that fire pit there at the moment, and we'll come in at the next video and then we'll code it so that we can make the logs appear and let the player continue to pick them up. Alright, I'll see you in the next video.